Hey guys, and welcome to episode 19 on the Health Spot with Omar. In this episode, I talk with Nesh, a lover of food and a model for over 20 years for the likes of TV shows such as This Morning, Lorraine, and much more. Nesh is now studying to be a nutritional therapy coach due to a fascination of nutrition and well-being. We talk about her journey, why she has been so interested in health, wellness and nutrition for such a long time, DNA testing, family life, and why herself and her family are gluten-free. And also guys, if you could just bear in mind that this episode was made just before Christmas in 2023. Enjoy.
I know I planned to go to the gym, leave it there, and that took like half an hour to sort out. And then in that time, I had to go pick up the kids from school.
Oh gosh, it sounds like my typical day, actually. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, go on, tell me.
I mean, it just, you have it all planned and you think, yeah, I'm really organized and I'm gonna get through my list. And it just feels like you're going against the tide no matter what. Like, you know, you go, oh, I'm just going to pop into that shop, I'll get that. And then there's a massive queue. And then the lady in front wanted something. So then, you know, it's just like you're going, oh, this is not really working. And then I'm standing there going, what's the universe trying to tell me? Slow down. Slow down.
Yeah. The worst was yesterday, actually. I bought a Christmas jumper for my daughter, and I bought it like maybe 7 days ago. And like the seam on the sleeve is totally split in half. So you know what it's like in customer service. There's usually a queue there,
Yeah.
and there's only two people there, but that one person, just like you, just taking ages for whatever it was. And like I'm like, oh man, the situation with the car, I've missed my gym session. I've got to return this, and was meant to get most of the Christmas stuff yesterday. But I was like, you know what? Just take a breather, you know, take a big deep breath. We'll go again tomorrow. Like you said, sometimes the universe might be like, do you know what? It's just not going to happen today.
No.
Just use another day instead.
It's like you're going against that tide, and it's like, no, I'm just stop resisting it and go with it. And at the end of the day, it's all going to get done because it has to get done. So that's what I always tell myself when I'm in those moments of, and I feel really stressed. And I start thinking it, because then what happens? You start thinking ahead, don't you? Because you think, I'm running out of time. I've got to do this, got to do that. But actually, if you just say, it will get done when it gets done, and it will get done because it has to get done. And I find that really helps calm me in those moments. But I often find myself in those situations where I just think, why doesn't anything go to plan or how I like it? But that's life.
Yeah, it is what it is sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all Christmas sorted then? You got all the Christmas stuff coming delivered today, so what's left?
Pretty much. Yeah, I would say I am done. The food has arrived. I've got my veg, so I've just had my meat. So I do a meat order from a different company. I've not used them before for my Christmas like meat. I normally either use like Riverfords or Abel and Cole, something like that. I've used this Gazegill farm this time, so I've just had all their meat delivered, and then tomorrow I'll get my veg box. I think I went with Abel and Cole. I always flip, or Eversfield. I can't remember. Anyway, so
How do you decide which one to go with?
I don't.
Or is it just you trying different types
Yeah,
of
I just
companies?
like to go. Let me try this, or yeah. I used to always shop with Abel and Cole, and then they got bought out by Aunt Bessie's, and I was a bit like, what?
Aunt Bessie's the guys that do the Yorkshire puds.
Yes, yeah, all that. So I was a bit, I felt a little bit cheated. So I kind of stopped shopping with them, and then I went to Riverfords, and then I had a bit of a hoo-ha with them where somehow I thought I'd cancelled an order, and it didn't, and I ended up they sent me this veg box, and I was on holiday, and they just emailed me and said, share it out with your friends. And I was just like, found it really bad customer service. So then I boycotted them for a while. And then I went on to another one called Eversfield, and they were pretty good. And then I start, because I've got a local farm near me, and they do like these little veg bags, and it's not, you can't get meat or anything, but it's very basic veg. And so I do that now, and then I sort of top up here and there with everyone, and just keep like rotating. really.
Yeah.
So there's no consistency to how I order. It's just I'll go, okay, I'll use that. Or if they've got an offer, quite often they'll phone you and go, oh, we've got an offer. So I'll
Yeah.
always use those.
Yeah. It sounds like you see what the vibe is like on the day kind of
Yeah,
thing. And
yeah. So
let's go with that today.
yeah, because then sometimes there was a point where the veg was coming a bit more, and I just thought that's not what I was expecting getting the
Hmm.
veg boxes from these companies. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but no,
It's,
everything's coming tomorrow.
yeah.
So the veg is coming tomorrow, and then I've got like an avocado delivery coming Sunday for like other bits. So I've got literally every day little bits coming from everywhere. So I'm done,
Wow.
but my pretty much Christmas shopping's done. I've I've stripped back on, who we're buying for, and as the kids all get older, and our
Yeah.
family, they're all sort of at teenage years now, so they're happy with money, which is easy. Just give them money and they can buy what.
Wow, that makes life a bit easier, I
Yeah.
guess.
This is the first year that everybody sort of asks for money, because we've got lots of nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
And then we sort of, buy bits for our friends, but not much. We don't go mad. And yeah, I did all that ages.
So under the tree, is it just boxes and then everyone has money in there, or how does it?
Yeah, well, I've never done that actually. So I've just bought these little wallets. I've got it here. These like little like looks like a card, like a Christmas
Mhm.
card. So I'll put it in there, and then I'll probably just wrap it. I don't even know why I'll do that because it's just so wasteful. I'm getting more. I feel like I'm becoming the Grinch. That's why that really resonated so much. Your post that you shared, because I feel like I'm becoming the Grinch, and I'm like, why are we all running around? What's with all the presents? Why are we wrapping prey? But it's just a farce. It's just
Yeah.
nonsense. I've lost my Christmas spirit completely. Going,
Oh,
it's just for me. I don't know. It's just lost its essence and what it's about, and like,
really? So why would you think that is?
I suppose maybe because my kids have grown up, but also like with so much with what's going on in the world. And
Hmm.
I feel more and more uncomfortable about it, that we are, and everyone's like, what do you want? And I'm like, I literally don't need anything. No, but there must be something. No, I don't want to think of something to have just because it's this one day. Do you know what I
Mm.
say to everyone now? Like, and I said it to my husband, I think he thinks I'm tricking him. That's Monday will come and I'll be like, so why didn't you get me anything?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I had that situation yesterday, because I bought some things. Well, I bought a thing for my wife, but I was saying to my mates, like, oh, I need to top this up with something because it's not enough. And then she mentioned, we were talking about, oh, Santa's Grotto, back when we were kids, because my kids just went to a Santa's Grotto at school, and like the presents are really small. And I was like, mate, like I remember when I went to Santa's Grotto when I was like in primary school, and like we used to get like big boxes of presents, like big farm sets and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But now it's like everything's really small. I'm like, and then my wife is saying that she got a she basically got she said it looked exactly like Mr. Bean's teddy bear. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get her that because she said she lost it and she loved it. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. No, I say, it's like this mad. We're all rushing around getting super stressed. We've got hardly any daylight at this time of year, so our energy's low. And I
Yeah.
just feel like it goes against nature and what we're meant to be doing and what it's all about. And it's great for the kids and everything,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, you're just talking about presence and
Yeah.
the way the world is right now. You just don't. Are you saying that you've just been more grateful for what you have? Is
Yeah.
that what you mean?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think this last year and a half, like since starting my studies as well, and with the coaching, and I've been doing a lot of inner work, it's just made me really feel grateful for everything. And I'm like, my house is full. My house is so full, and because of the job that I also do, like as a model, and I've sort as a content creator or influencer, you get sent a lot of stuff, which also feels wrong to me now, and I'm trying to be very mindful of what I receive or get, because I
Mhm.
find it's just point, like, why do we need all this stuff? Why do we need so much stuff? And it's often, and I think what is behind, it's like going back to the root cause of why do we need it? Like, what is it we're trying to fill? What is it we're missing? And it's made me kind of really go down like sort of that angle of, having less and being grateful for all that we have and the people. And it's about having the good food at the table and then having those
Yeah.
special people with us. And you know what, if you see something later on in the year and you think, I think Nesh would really love that, then I'm like, I'll have that, because in that moment I'll think, you've really, that in that moment, which is not connected because of Christmas and we're being told that's when we have to buy presents,
Yeah.
you thought about me in that moment, and that means so much more.
Yeah.
So having more random gifts through the year, maybe, rather than all on one day, because that's what commercialism wants us to do, right? That's how
Yeah.
I'm feeling. So I buy lots of little gifts from my girlfriends or my mum. I'll see something,
Yeah.
I think, oh, they would love that, and I'll buy it and I'll give it to them. And
Yeah.
and just say, I
Yeah.
really
Because like
appreciate you. I really appreciate
exactly.
you. And that, I think that means more than you've bought it because it's Christmas, because you have to.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to that, old saying that it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But then doing it for an event.
yeah. Because everyone's expecting it. So
Hmm. Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, because I bought my mother-in-law because she drinks a lot of herbal teas, especially during the winter,
yeah.
and she just puts it in like a saucepan. I got her like a glass diffuser jug kind of thing, so she can put all the herbs in the middle and just surround it with boiling water and just let it sit rather than just boil it. She can boil it on the stove as well, but I just thought, do you know what? It looks nice, and it kind of shows that I have been thinking about
Yeah.
her when I'm just shopping around. Like you said, if you just see something, oh, Nesh might like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I know people do that. Like, I'm not saying that, when you go Christmas shopping, you're not thinking, you are at that moment when you're buying that present, you are thinking of that person. But I feel like it sometimes comes at a cost of your own well-being, because of the fact, that, oh my gosh, I've got to buy for that, you've got this whole list. And I just think, oh, it kind of, you're making yourself sick to do that. You
It's
need
interesting. It's interesting you were talking about this because me and my eldest daughter were going to America together in February,
to.
and it's for my cousin's wedding.
Oh, what?
And I literally had this conversation yesterday with another cousin. I was just like, "Ooh, like usually in the Bangladeshi kind of community and like what do you call it, culture, sorry, Bangladeshi culture, you go there with gifts, and it's a lot of people to buy for. So it's like now we're kind of having to decide, ooh, who do we buy for? Like kids, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I'm gonna get presents for the kids, but it's like, oh, there's a lot of people, so you kind of have to, you know, work it out. It's been a bit of a challenge. But then there's stress that comes with that.
Yeah, yeah. Because you want to buy the perfect gift as well, right? I think sometimes, you have that in you. You want them
Yeah,
to really like it, and you don't want it to be something they open it and be disappointed by. So, yeah, you kind
exactly.
of have all those thoughts as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. The last couple of weeks I've been a bit quiet because I'm having to reorganize the way I do my pods now because it's easier for me if I could do a podcast at 5 a.m. in the morning, but people in the UK, it's going to be difficult. But what I find is the guys in Australia, that's like
Oh,
in the middle of the day for them, so it's fine. So, and like I had a guy who basically cured his eczema by just going full carnivore.
oh,
And
wow.
he was like, oh, and when we finished, he was like, oh, what time is it there? I was like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. He's like, you woke up 5 o'clock just to do this. I was like, mate, it's the only time I can do it. So if it means that I can get more content out and get the message across, then so be it. Not gonna lie, it is a bit tiring, but I do like to start my day early because I don't get interrupted.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I do love that time in the morning, I have to say, because when my husband actually gets up at 5 every day for his job, so he's up early. And then when I do my do sort of morning breakfast TV modeling on there, I have to be up at 4:45, and there's a sense of calmness and quiet, and there's no disturbance, and it feels like you've got the world to yourself almost. And often when we
Exactly.
film outside on locations at that time in the morning, I just love it. It's just so quiet and calm, and I think it just, yeah, it gives you that sense of
Peace.
peace. It does, yeah, and you can just get into your flow a bit more, I think, in that at that
Yeah,
time. So
definitely. Especially when you get into a routine and you get momentum and like, oh my God, I'm getting stuff done now,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
you just have to go to bed early. That's like the key thing, is
That's it.
you have to get up at that time. You need to have got your sleep, because it's,
Definitely.
yeah.
Tell me about how you got into your modeling career. So I guess I want to ask, like, how did you get into that? Where did that all begin?
Modeling.
Yeah.
So, I've done, it's my life has been on such a weird, like, it's been a journey where I have let the universe lead, really. So the modeling was nothing, I'd never dreamt of modeling. I just wasn't interested in it or thought about doing. I went to uni, I did a performing arts degree. I used to dance like from the age of 4 and I loved it. And actually, when I got to school, I really loved drama. I was very, very shy growing up, like so quiet, painfully shy.
Wow.
And
Sounds like me.
yeah, and I just, if I look back at myself, I don't recognize that person because obviously I've had to overcome all of these things, and actually I've just grown into myself. So the confidence sort of comes from that, I suppose. But yeah, as a child, I couldn't even look anyone in the eye. It was, yeah, painfully shy. And then
So what changed? What broke the curse?
I don't know what it was. I think my dancing helped. So my mum used to take me to dance and I loved it. I just loved dancing. I loved music. Anytime my dad put music on, I was like, I was very theatrical at home in front of my family.
Mhm.
But really, I suppose I always describe myself now as an outgoing introvert because I like my own company. I'm very quiet. I don't thrive, I would say, being in big crowds of people. I find that quite hard. But one-to-one, I love one-to-one time. I love chatting to people. I love getting to know people. I love that one-to-one connection. And I'm really happy in my own space and my own time. I don't need lots of people around me all the time. So yeah, dancing kind of really sort of lit my life up, really. And I was obsessed with watching Fame growing up, and all the musicals. I loved it. Fred Astaire. I used to watch all the old black and white movies with tap dancing. So yeah, then I went to secondary school, and I quite enjoyed drama, and I was really sort of still quite shy, but I was just starting to sort of open up, and I think drama really helped me. Then when I was in year 9, so how old would I have been? 11, 12, 12, 12, 13.
13, 14, yeah.
Yeah, so year 9. Yeah, so I would have been 13, I think. I had this new drama teacher came, and I talk about this drama teacher all the time, and I bumped into him the other day. Anyway, that's another story. I He was amazing, and he gave me this belief in myself. He was like, you're great, go for it. And I don't know what it was. He was just such a brilliant teacher that he helped bring me out of my shell almost. And that was it. I loved it. I loved performing. I loved sort of improvisation and just being, on the spur of the moment, just creating stuff. And it just made me feel alive. And he was such a brilliant teacher that he gave me the confidence to sort of believe in myself and my ability. And so I kind of went on and did performing arts A level. But when I was deciding about going to uni, I'd sort of remember speaking to my teacher, my English teacher, saying, I'd like to do psychology. And she went, oh no, you don't want to do that. I think you should like follow what you're really good at, and you really excel in the arts. And I was like, oh, okay. And I remember on one parents' evening in my maths, I struggled with maths. I just couldn't connect the dots with maths. And I remember being at the parents' evening listening to this teacher saying she'll never be a doctor. She works really hard, but she'll never be a doctor. So I had all these things. So she was saying, oh no, don't.
How did that make you feel when you heard that?
Oh, I mean, I've carried that with me my entire life. My entire life, I've felt, not really very clever. So stick to
Mm.
the arts. That's where and it just it's limiting, this limiting self-belief because one person said that when I was 11, 12, that I was never going to be a doctor. But actually, maybe I just needed teaching in a different way. Like that form of teaching didn't work for me. So anyway, I went on and I didn't pass first time. I didn't pass my maths first time, but I was adamant I was going to pass it. And then I retook it. And the teacher who I had was amazing, and we did it in modular form, and he made it, I enjoyed it, and I did really well. It was just the teacher, it's how you teach it, and sometimes it just takes some people longer to grasp certain things, but it doesn't mean you can't understand it. But yeah, I went off to uni and did performing arts, and I loved it. It was like the best 3 years of my life. I absolutely loved it, and I did lots of contemporary theatre, physical theatre, musical theatre. We had to set up our own theatre company and go on tour, and we went abroad. It's amazing, and I learned so many skills from doing that course, and I think I just grew in confidence more and more, and it's taught me so much about owning who I am. And we did one workshop that sort of stuck with me forever, and it was I can't remember the guy who came in, but it was about working with the third eye. And we did his whole workshop where we had to partner up with someone, and then we're in this big hall, and one person had to be blindfolded, and your partner had to go off on the other side of the room, and they had to draw you to them through the power of their third eye, basically. And it worked. And it was insane. It was so insane. It was just, so we did like meditation before, and it was such an incredible experience that after that I bought books on visualization, and I was obsessed. I was like, oh, that was crazy. How did that work? In this big hall with loads of other people, and I found my partner blindfold. It was incredible. And so yeah, I kind of graduated, did really well. I was going to go on to do a postgrad at drama school, because I was like, yes, love it, want to be, get involved in the arts. But I need to get to drama school first for 1 year, do a postgrad. And my mum had kept going on about like she'd get these women magazines or whatever, and there was this advert or competition for a modeling agency called 12 Plus UK, or there was like plus size modeling, and I was like, what's that? Oh, so if you're size 12 and upwards, there's modeling agencies. And I was like, oh right, I'm a size 16. And I was like, oh right, because I'd never thought, I didn't pursue my dancing career. I didn't pursue the dancing, which was my strongest point, because I thought I was too big. So I always had this hang up about my size. I was never like really, tiny like some of the dancers, or like a ballerina. I was, I'm strong, and I've got strong bones. I'm tall, I'm broad. So I kind of gave up on the dancing and was like, I'm going to go into physical theatre. And then my mum was like, no, why don't you see if you can join this modeling agency, earn some money? It's a way of getting the foot in the door and help sort of pay for your fees to go to drama school. And I was like,
And how old were you at this point?
So I graduated from uni, so I was 21.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had sort of part-time job. I was working at bowling alley, where I met my husband, actually. I was working in like River Island closure. I had loads of little jobs. I was trying to earn money.
Yeah, just like coming out of uni, just trying to just get by, basically.
Yeah, just like getting by, trying to get my life together, work out where I was going. And I was like, oh, all right. So she like took some pictures on, a camera in my kitchen, in our kitchen, where my family home where I used to live, sent them off. And I was just like, had to get them developed and then send them off. And I was like, oh, okay, nothing, I don't know about this. Anyway, a week later, I got a call. They were based in Battersea. So I went down there. My uncle, because my mum's from South London, so my uncle took me to this agency. And then, yeah, a week later, I was working. I think my first job was at QVC. Then I did a shoot for a newspaper or magazine. And then I went off to Mallorca or Italy, I think it was, shooting.
Wow.
And I was like, I'd like done half a day, and they were like, okay, we're done for the day, that's a wrap, you can go back to the hotel and chill. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like in this amazing hotel.
Wow.
swimming on this rooftop pool in the sun going,
All expenses covered.
this is better than a bowling center. This is like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
It's a different world, isn't it? It's a different world
Yeah.
when you go into that kind of sector and they're like, all right, yeah, you've done your job and now you can just relax and
Yeah.
do what you want to do now.
You just think, oh, is this what it's about? Anyway, the rest is history. I didn't go to drama school. I carried on modeling. And yeah, so I've been modeling since I was 21, and I've had a really great career. I've done commercials and catalogs and I've done everything, like, really, I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a great career. But the entire time I was always interested in well-being and psychology, and just about sort of living a healthy life, looking after ourselves, because I think as a plus size model, there was always this thing of, oh, you can eat whatever you want. It's a bit like, no, I don't eat what I was always mindful of what I was putting in my body, even at that, at that age. My mum had always cooked fresh food. She cooked from scratch, and she was quite aware of like numbers and things. So she'd have books around, and I used to like dip in and out of books, because my brother was quite hyperactive as a kid, and he was like the youngest. I'm the eldest, and he was always ill. He was always getting tonsillitis. There was just always something. He had really bad eczema, really bad asthma. So my mum was going on her own journey of trying to work out what was, as you do when you become a parent, you want to try and heal your children. And so she kind of had books around the house about food and numbers. So I used to sort of read them, and that kind of sparked an interest in me. And so I think growing up as well, I used to suffer a lot of constipation, and so I used to end up in a couple of times in A&E in absolute agony, stomach cramps, where I just wasn't having any bowel movement. And so I became more and more mindful of it when I was working modeling, that in certain situations these symptoms became worse. And I'd like be doubled over with stomach cramps, or and
would it happen just before a shoot, or
it would be like during the day, during a shoot, we'd be hanging around or be sitting down, and I'd be in agony. So then we'd be shooting, I'd be having stomach cramps, and I ended up buying a book called Digestive Wellness, and I can remember just sitting reading this book, and it was talking about leaky gut and also, and I was like, I was reading it, but it was sort of going over my head. It was just so much information, but I was thinking, this makes sense. And people would be like, what is that book you're reading? And they're like, are you studying? And I was like, no, I'm just interested. And it's so funny because that's one of the books that we've had to get on Cush's.
No way.
Yeah.
The same book?
So it's this book. Let me grab it.
Yeah. Please show it on the screen. Who is it by?
It is hang on, Wendy. I might have it. Have I put it away?
Because the reason why I ask is one, everyone always mentions a book, which is great, and two, I'm going to start to do posts on my Instagram of book mentions by every guest, because everyone has a book that inspires them.
I wanted to get the original one as well, so because I bought the updated version now.
Okay.
I've got them both here.
Oh, nice.
So that was the book I bought.
That's okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Who's it by? Sorry, Wendy.
No, I don't know why I said Wendy. Elizabeth Lipsky. I think I was thinking wellness, Wendy.
Well, I'm sure there's a wellness Wendy somewhere in the world.
Yeah. And so this is like the updated version now that I've bought.
Wow.
During my course, and it's you can see all my little post-it note things in there, but I used to go around reading this book, and I was like, food sensitivities and environmental sensitivities, restoring gut integrity, what causes leaky, and I was just like, what the hell? I was just like, this is insane. And so the whole time I was, so everyone used to know me then on shoots of like, oh, Nesh brings her own food. So I used to then start bringing my own food. I was like living and breathing it, and my friends would come around, and I'd be making cakes and like trying to avoid sugar, and I'd be like maple syrup, and I'd be trying to buy all these ingredients that you just couldn't get hold of back then, and now it's
Yeah.
like the norm. And yeah, everyone would make fun of me because they're like, oh, here she comes with her packed lunch, or like my 2 litre bottle of water. Like you would
Yeah.
never see me without a 2 litre bottle of water, because I was like, I know that that was what a lot of what was causing my issues was dehydration. And
Yeah.
also I was just having too much fiber, and I was at that point following a diet. It was Rosemary Conley diet, where she was excluding all fat. And
Mm,
so I would like not, I was avoiding like you know, avocados, nuts, pea, anything like that had fat, any fats whatsoever.
yeah. I mean, if only people knew fat doesn't make you fat, right?
My gosh, now I mean that's all I talk about. And yeah, so I was kind of following that, but then going, oh, that doesn't make sense. You know, I could feel it in my body. My body wasn't agreeing with it. Anyway, so yeah, I used to bring all my own food, and quite often I'd like, you know, stay away, worked away a lot. And I think without obviously now understanding more about the mind body connection, my body
Mm,
was in like fight or flight all the time, because I
wow.
wasn't living at home. I was living out of a suitcase. I was having to eat food away, or you know what
You
you,
cortisol spike. You must have been getting massive cortisol spikes, right?
yeah, yeah. So I was really sort of conscious of trying to prepare food ahead to bring with me, because I was like, what is it? Is it the food triggering me? But at that point I didn't understand that it was probably the mind connection, you know, feeling unsettled or on edge or stressed or whatever. On top of the fact that probably, you know, you are not eating at regular times when you normally do, and eating on the go because you're like in between shoots or whatever, on the floor,
Yeah.
backstage at a show, you know, it was just, it's not ideal. So in my 30s, I got married and I had my boys. And I feel like, because then at that point, before I'd had the boys, so my eldest is now 14. I got rid of a microwave. I got rid of all my plastic in the house. I wasn't,
Why did you get rid of the microwave?
it changes the structure of certain food. It changes the structure of milk and potatoes. And it's just, I mean, some,
I know, but I
I
just want to
know,
hear
I'm
it.
like, why?
I know why, but it's just that when I so I've I got rid of the microwave, but then it's like we have a lot of people coming over and they don't really care. So the middle ground was we'll keep it in the utility room because it's separate from everything, so the kids don't see it first thing.
Yeah.
I mean I don't see it, but like you know they're watching cartoons and stuff, and even their toy kitchen has like a fake microwave on there, and it's like
It's the norm. It's the norm. So yeah, I got rid of it all. And then yeah, so I had got rid of all plastic containers. Yeah, I was
I
so
remember,
ahead.
sorry,
So
I remember sorry, I remember we swapped my daughter when Lana was a baby. Instead of her having a bottle, I'd put her raw milk in a glass bottle and she dropped it. And I was like,
oh yeah.
and like she dropped it at my mother-in-law's house on like the granite, so
Oh
it just
no.
smashed everywhere. So you know, she was fine, but it's like oh, like you know, there's money gone down the drain, and then I had to buy another one. But at that point, she was more than happy just having it in a glass or a cup.
Yeah, yeah. But then I think what had happened, so I did like reusable nappies, reusable wipes. I felt like everyone was like, oh God, Nesh, because I'd go and see nutritionists and things because I wanted to work out what was going on in my own body all the time. You know, I suffered
Yeah, yeah.
asthma. I had like an allergy, which turned, it was like a histamine reaction to fish gone off, called scumbroid poisoning. And for years I was under the impression that it was a lime allergy, and it just didn't make sense to me. And I was like, how can it
Mhm.
be how can I be allergic to lime when I can have clementines, oranges, lemons? It doesn't make sense. So I went on, I investigated it more and more, and then eventually found out that it actually wasn't the lime, it was the fish going off and the histamine that starts producing when it's maybe being defrosted properly or whatever, and you can get it.
Yeah.
So
It just hasn't been prepared properly, has it?
yeah, and I bought this. It was a tuna steak I bought from a fish counter in a supermarket. Anyway, so I was just I was not obsessed, but I was so interested in it. And I used to think people would think I'm mad, but I'd be like, maybe I am mad because nobody thinks the way I think. I must be, and
Same here, exactly same here. I remember when I was because I was just like you in my old workplaces like 10 years ago, packed lunch all the time, hardly went out to eat. And then even when I left my first job, um, everyone gives gifts and stuff.
yeah,
And I can't remember what it was Gavin, his name was like, we didn't know what to get you, so we got you a bag of potatoes. I mean, the tomatoes.
brilliant.
Great, cheers. Even in my last job, and what they got me a crate full of just like vegetable produce.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I love it because I'm
There's
actually going to
nothing
use it.
better, right?
Sorry, say that
There's
again.
nothing better than that.
No, there isn't. Wow, that's quite cool that you've been into this your wellness journey started a long time ago. It sounds like it started when your mom left all those books in the shelf.
She planted the seed, really. She definitely planted the seed for sure. Um, but then I think after then I had my first, I kind of
Hmm.
started to, oh, I don't know, I got tired maybe, and then I got sweat, and then I felt like, oh, I'm overthinking it. Maybe I am. Everyone be like, oh, you're making your life harder. And I was like, maybe I am. Am I just, and
In what way?
yeah, and I felt a little bit like I'd lost my way a little bit. Um, and then
No, but what happened exactly?
do you know what I think? I think I was just quite tired. I was
Yeah.
tired, and then having a baby, and
Having a bit of a mate, like when you have a baby, it's just a totally the world changes
yeah,
for the mother mostly.
definitely. And I think not that I actually just went, oh, sod it, have everything. I'm going. I still kind of like stuck to my things, but then I was like, maybe I am just upset, like over the top, and like there's no, everyone's a quack and everything. I say, oh, that's quackery and blah blah, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
maybe I am just falling into this trap and I'm being conned. And I felt really deflated and yeah, and then I had my second, and that was in 2011, and then sadly my sister got diagnosed with bowel cancer,
Oh,
and
no.
she just had her third baby, so my youngest and her youngest were 2 months apart, and it was 4 weeks after she had her third. And she was in excruciating pain. She couldn't pass wind, she couldn't go to the toilet. It was horrendous, and she got rushed into hospital, and they were still trying to get her to eat food, and she couldn't eat because it wasn't coming out anywhere, like it was just building up and building up. And then they ended up doing an emergency surgery. She had 20 centimeters of her bowel removed, and that was due to a tumor. It had completely blocked her bowels.
Oh my
And this our whole world's turned upside down. And you get a cancer diagnosis at the age of 29. You've got 3 children, and she looked like glowing and healthy. She just had her third baby, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And then before I knew it, I was bringing out all my books again, and it was like I was meant to have all these books.
Yeah.
And though, and she was sick for 2 years, and sadly she passed away when she was 31. It was the most horrendous journey to go through and watch, and you know it was just too late, and unfortunately she wasn't open to too much. Well, she did do quite a few things that were alternative, but that wasn't her journey. And that's been the greatest lesson for me, because I felt like I had all the answers, but nobody was listening.
Yeah.
And like
And
doctors were saying, oh, eat whatever you like, eat whatever. I'm going,
oh,
no,
oh my God.
no, you need to remove all those things. And in the end, I had to respect her wishes. And yeah, unfortunately she died it was the 24th of January 2014. So it'll be 10 years in January. And so
Really sorry to hear about that.
thank you. It was very crazy time for us all, and actually it's has been since. And she's got 3 children who have, my eldest niece is now 17 and she's gone to catering college, and she's amazing. They're all amazing. The kids are doing so well, and we're very close, and we see them all the time. And
Yeah.
but that for me was my turning point. I was just like, no, this is like, I then became obsessed with healing. And
Yeah.
what made her get sick. I wanted to know what made her get sick, what caused it, what
Yeah, because naturally, when you get into this healing side of the world, into nutrition and alternative healing, you want to find out, you want to investigate yourself so it doesn't happen again to any of your loved ones. And I think that's something that people who don't do what we're doing understand why we're doing
yeah,
it. Because it seems, for me, from what I see, it seems like they'll just deal with it when it happens. And it's like, bloody hell, like that's Russian roulette, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. And it made me think, no, I was meant to be I was meant to be on this path. And that happened, the only way I could spin it with what the tragedy of what happened was, that was the universe making sure I followed this path. Like, that's it. And so I then just I kept umming and ahhing about, shall I do a course? Shall I do a course? Shall I go into
Mhm.
nutrition? And then
Because there's so many out there, it's hard to
I
pick. And
couldn't.
funnily enough, like I called Kush, I think about a couple of years ago. It was just to I think she was doing like free 20-minute consultations or something. And for her, and she had no school back then. And essentially I called her just to ask her, how do I get into this? And I was like, oh, should I study biology, chemistry? Should I do that? She was like, no. She's like, and her answer was like, no, you don't have to do that. You can. I can't remember what she actually said, but she said you don't have to study biochemistry to get into this. I think she just said, "Oh, just do your research or something." And then literally a couple of years later, she opened a school. So, yeah, so I'm interested to find out, how do you find out about the school, and like how do you work out which place to go? Because there's quite a few. Obviously, there's a CNM, there's Cush's school, there's quite a few in America as well.
Yeah. Well, I had been looking, and I think nothing was kind of grabbing me, and I think I still was in the frame of mind that I couldn't do it because of the narrative I'd built up from, hearing the teacher say she'll never be a doctor. Um and then I was I follow a lady called Sally Beaton, who's Women with Sparkle, and she talks about hormones on Instagram. And she's amazing, actually, really great. And she had shared, because she's starting, my lovely friend, colleague, she's starting a course at school. It's going to be integrative
Integrative medicine, right?
medicine. Um, and I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. And I messaged her. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about doing something like this for at least 10 years. And she was like, if you've been thinking about it, you have to do it. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I looked up Cush's course, and my youngest son was then about to start secondary school in the September, and it just felt like everything was perfectly timed. It been
The stars have aligned.
Yeah, and like, having gone through the journey with my sister and that time, you know, the healing, and it just everything felt right. And so I did a bit of research into the course, and you know, when you just I was reading like the syllabus and going, oh yeah, that sounds really interesting. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, this course is it was just exciting me. And the fact that it had the coaching, and you know, I was my interest in psychology, that and then the homeopathy, which I didn't really have too much knowledge on, but my mum used to see a homeopath years ago, so I did have a she'd always say, oh, you need to take da da da, but I never really, you know, apart from then using arnica on my boys when they bump themselves, I didn't
Yeah.
really understand homeopathy. And I was like,
Mm.
this sounds amazing. I can't, you know, no other course grabbed me in the same way. So I was like, oh, it was like 2 weeks before the end of the deadline, and I was like, I've got to do this. I've got to go for it. I've got to. And I remember having a chat with someone in my I sing in a choir, and I was like, what do you think? And they said, it's a no-brainer. You can't not do it, right? Because you'll always then be wondering, what if I did, what would it be? You know, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
So I applied and got my place, and honestly, I feel like suddenly it's like everything slotting in to who I am, being aligned with my beliefs, being aligned with my um what's the word?
Tribe.
Yeah, my tribe. Yeah, definitely. My values, my, you know, my core beliefs. It just, and everything Kush was teaching, I was like, I know, I've read about this. Like,
Yeah.
this is real.
She's a great teacher, isn't she?
Oh, just love listening to her. Find her just incredible. She's a brilliant teacher. And all of them, you know, the whole team and the coaching team, and there's Debbie and David, they're just brilliant. And Lisa, who took the homeopathy for us, she was a brilliant, and she was a great.
I did a podcast with her.
I need to listen to it actually. I
It's
love
quite good. It's quite
listening to
good.
Lisa. She was brilliant, very down to earth, and you know, and again, like you find your tribe, um, and yeah, so I literally started the course thinking, oh, I don't really know where it's going to take me or what I'll, but
But it feels right.
started.
It feels like, and like you said at the beginning, like you are just following the universe. You're just following what feels right at the time. And the thing that you've mentioned so far, it is the right way for you to go.
I feel so content. So it's like reading, you know, you'll stay up and you think, oh, it's really late, but I just need to find out about that information. You know, I love it. I'm so interested in it. It's just like I'm super passionate about it. And
Yeah.
anytime I talk to someone, without fail, it goes into wellness, nutrition, you know, well-being. And it's like a few of my friends say that my face lights up every time I speak about stuff, because you know it's what I'm meant to be doing. And I felt, you know, I've loved the modeling, but it wasn't really, it's just surface stuff. It wasn't really fulfilling me in that way. You know, I love
Yeah.
doing it, don't get me wrong. I'll still sort of carry on doing it, but
Mhm.
that true passion was, you know, is for me is in the well-being world, and helping others live their optimal life, or like just showing people that there is a better way to feel, rather than getting on with living in pain or discomfort and going, oh, it's part of age, oh yeah, but you know. And I just think, no, guys, there's hope out there, and you know, we
Oh yeah,
have
there definitely is.
power
Like,
to heal ourselves. Our bodies have the power to heal, you know.
yeah.
Give it the
I feel like the first rule is respect your body first, and then it'll follow. Because I see a lot of people who have health issues and they're using medication, and it's just keeping them there at that level where they don't die. But it's like there's more to wellness and well-being. You just gotta start respecting your body and give it what it needs. No?
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And it is, you are disrespecting your body when you ignore all those signals, and it speaks to us every day, and we
Oh yeah, definitely. Like a coach, there's a coach I follow on the personal training side, and it's quite interesting, actually. Like, I feel like the more human we are on our social media pages and to show who we really are, rather than being be like, oh, it's whole happy days every single day. The more we connect with people. And this guy basically said that he had to have surgery, and he just looked in the mirror and he just said to himself, why am I taking the piss for my body? Like, why?
Yeah.
This is literally a sign. And I saw that. I was like, do you know what? Whenever something's come up, whether it be like a chesty cough or something, and I know what's caused it, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have had that the other day, or I should have actually watched what I've been eating, or actually looked after myself better, because at the end of the day, my kids need me more than, what I mean? My kids need me, so I need to be able to be on the tip top condition so I can look after my family.
You need you.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah. And my wife reminds me about
Yeah.
that. I was saying to my mentor, I texted him the other day, I was like, oh, I've kind of lost momentum because I've taken a break. And then he was like, you need to take a break. I was like, oh, you sound like my wife.
It's hard when you're so driven and you love what you do, it's easy to kind of forget that actually you do need to nourish yourself as well.
Definitely, definitely. I want to just have a quick mention about, you also have a food page where you do all these beautiful recipes. So I'm guessing that started a long time ago, because it would be quite amazing if you got all those followers in a short amount of time once you
All
start
those
doing the wellness
followers
stuff.
in the short amount of time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's interesting because my original page, Fresh Nesh, I started when my sister was ill. Actually, I kind of started it and thought, right, I'm gonna try and be positive, and I want to start sharing all my food on there, and all I was juicing, and I was doing, back then it was all because obviously then I was reading about Gerson therapy and juicing and whatever.
Yeah.
So I started off kind of sharing food stuff on my page. And then it kind of like got diluted with fashion. And so then I was like, oh, I'll do food, fun, fashion. Like, I didn't really know about social media. And
Yeah.
then I changed modeling agencies, and they were like, oh, what's your handle? And I was like, what do you mean handle? Because I just really wasn't clued up.
Yeah.
Realized
Yeah.
it was social, like your Instagram name or whatever. And then I carried on, and I was like mixing. I'd do a fashion post, then I'd do a food post, and it wasn't really, I don't know, it just wasn't working for me. So I can't remember when I then decided a couple of years ago, I decided to start up. I thought I need to separate it. And because my profile, my Instagram page is on my modeling agency website, so it links straight to it. So I thought, really, then I should keep Fresh Nesh for sort of fashion and more like well-being advice, about looking after yourself and nourishing yourself. But then
More on the mental side.
mental side, it was spiritual, emotional, that sort of stuff. And fashion can kind of lean into that because it's about sort of self looking after yourself, and and then the cooking, it was, my son went, cook fresh with Nesh, and I was like, oh, I love that.
That's cool.
So I just started that, and then I was a bit like, oh, how am I going to manage these two accounts anyway? And then I think I was it at the beginning of this year, maybe, or maybe a bit after, I decided, oh, I'm just going to really focus on just filming myself cooking at home, because I haven't got time to cook food separately to present it as, perfect or lovely.
Yeah, but like I can imagine like editing all that stuff is quite time consuming.
Editing.
Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, so I kind of now I've got it down, but it does take time and energy. You do have to block out that time. But what I just do is try and just whack up my phone, my camera, my tripod in my kitchen, and just film like what I'm doing. And then I'll just grab little snippets and try and keep it small. And I was doing it really consistently, and it just took off. It just took off,
Amazing.
and I
Yeah. I mean, guys, if you have not seen Nesh's food page, it's incredible. So many recipes, especially gluten-free recipes. Now, I wanted to ask you, why gluten-free if someone is not, or if someone doesn't have an allergy, why gluten-free recipes?
Well, for me, I'd always suspected that I might be a gluten intolerant, because I have asthma and I had other allergies. And I ended up doing a DNA health test after sort of starting my course, and I wanted to find out about what SNPs I had in relation to, to try and identify if there was any risk of me developing bowel cancer myself, because I was having to have regular colonoscopies. Anyway, it came back on that test that I had a moderate. It was like you get like a low, moderate, or high priority, and mine was moderate for gluten intolerance. So it meant that if I continue to eat gluten, then I am at higher risk of developing celiac disease. And I just thought, how do I know when that tipping point? Where's the tipping point? How do I know? I'm just going to cut it out. Done. And I didn't really have any symptoms as such, but I definitely was suffering with, like, I felt like I was getting like arthritis in my knuckle. I had like brain fog, just low energy, lethargic. And honestly, after giving it up for a couple of weeks, I felt like lifted. I felt more energized. I used to suffer with bloating actually quite a lot in the evening. I'd look pregnant. All that went. And like inflammation in my body. I just felt like my whole body looked less inflamed.
And it doesn't take long for, like you said, you did it for a couple of weeks. It doesn't take long for people to see a difference. Like I usually don't have anything wheat based because of the way it's processed.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know how it's been made these days. The hybridization and all the rest of it. So I try my best to stay away from it unless like there's an occasion I might have it once. But what is interesting is when I do eat it. I said this to Dr. Jenny Goodman a couple of months ago. I have the most brain splitting headache.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I do. Especially wraps. Especially wraps. When I chew into it, it's like, oh my God, I need to stop eating this. So it's interesting because people say, well, I don't have an allergy to it, so it's okay. But actually,
Yeah.
stop eating it for 2 weeks and come back to me.
Yeah. And like people don't associate it with, so they will develop an autoimmune condition. Um, they don't connect the dots that actually, yeah, that might be part
Yeah,
of that journey, why that, has led you to that. And my
exactly.
husband ended up doing a DNA test, and he was a higher risk of develop, he was like high.
Yeah,
And he just couldn't, he didn't want to accept it for a while. But there's autoimmune condition um in his family, so both his parents. And I was like, 100% this is linked to like the gluten. And he used to
yeah.
suffer with psoriasis. He'd get really bad about his eyelids.
Interesting. So what did you do to get rid of that?
So I kept saying to him, I kept connecting it to beer. Like if he'd go out and because he works in the city, so it's very much that culture. Go for a beer after work, or if you've got to go
Yeah,
to see clients, we'll have a beer. And he'd go, "Oh, I think it's the beer when you have it out of the taps." And I was like, "No, I think it's the beer. Like it's wheat based. I think that's it." But he was eating bread, and he was like, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine." But he was like getting all these joint pains,
yeah,
and there was getting all this like dry skin on his scalp. And
yeah.
anyway, I said, listen, just give it up for a few months, like 2 to 3 months. Let's see how you feel. And yeah, well, that was in May. He hasn't looked back. He's now gone, I can't believe the difference. Even I was
Wow.
saying about my knuckle, that's gone. That pain,
Wow.
it's gone. I then was like,
Food.
oh, is it my phone? I was thinking, is it where I hold my phone? But no, it's gone.
Food is medicine, isn't it?
Yeah, and so he's now, all his dry skin's gone. He's not getting any of those symptoms, those stomach cramps. So then we went on holiday to Cyprus, and my dad's Turkish Cypriot, so it's the first time we'd been over with the kids, and they were meeting all the family. And it's very much, you come to the house, you eat, everyone wants to feed you. It was so challenging because everybody's making cakes and
Because
pastries.
bread, in that cuisine, bread is like the starter with hummus, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, it's in
Yeah.
everything. And it was like, oh gosh. My husband, I caved in on one occasion because it was so embarrassing. So this family, literally, they put a big, massive table in their driveway with tablecloth, made
Gosh.
so much food, and they weren't even family; they were like friends of my dad, And I was like, they've gone so much effort. I can't. I feel awful.
Yeah.
Oh, I had the worst
Yeah.
stomach cramp. I was like that.
Oh
Oh my God.
no.
Oh my God. I was in so much pain.
Oh no.
My husband was like, oh no, I was fine. He was fine. So he carried on eating for 3 days. Then everywhere we went, he's like, I'm fine. The third day it caught up with him. He was in agony. He had to lay on the bed for an entire day. He was
Oh my
terrible.
God.
Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
so no,
Yeah.
we've given up. And
Challenges. There's always challenges in these kind of situations, isn't it? Like you're trying to live the healthy life and everything, but then it's like, oh, the majority of the world isn't. So it's like you come to a party and like everything's there on a platter.
my dad really struggles with it. He's just like, what do you mean?
It's not easy. It's not easy.
Most people don't understand. I think people are really uneducated in it, and it's not their fault. I mean, but
It's true.
he
Go on.
I'm like, was he joking? I don't know, but I think he was serious. Is there gluten in chicken? And my mum's like, no, he's being serious. I was like, no, there's not. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
this.
do you know what? Do you know what? It's just down to reading a label, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. So I teach.
That's where you can all start.
Yeah. So I'm now like we went into the supermarket yesterday, and my son was like, I'm hungry. Can I get some sushi? That's healthy. And I went, read the label because we're all off gluten. My son's got really terrible, it's flared up, so we're working with him, so he's cut out dairy and wheat, and
Amazing.
he's healing, and I've been working on healing the gut, and he's like, great, wheat. And I was like, it's in everything, like the soy.
Yeah.
But look, not even that. There's glucose syrup. There's this. There's it. I was like, look, all these ingredients. It's ridiculous. We don't even know what they are. And so I see him. Then he was walking around, and I was not really. I was watching him out the corner of my eye, and I could see him picking up other things and reading it. And he went, "Can't eat anything in the supermarkets." And I was like, "No, you can't. Literally, let's just shop around the outside edges, and that's it. We don't need to go in the middle. The veg, the fruit. Then we go to the meat counter. That's it. Then we go."
Yeah. Proper food, proper food. Right. So I'm gonna do a quick fire round.
Okay.
So I hope you're ready.
Sure.
Quick answers, yeah? All right, your favorite holiday?
Oh, Cyprus, I think.
Your favorite moment in your life?
The birth of my boys.
What's the best age?
Now,
Mental strength or physical strength?
mental.
Favorite song?
Oh God, I'm rubbish with songs.
You can do it themed during Christmas. Sorry, say that again.
Sitting at the dock of the bay. Otis Redding.
Superpower of choice?
Oh, my son always asks me this. Time travel.
Complete the sentence. The key to happiness is
Gratitude.
guilty pleasure.
Oh, watching Schitt's Creek.
Advice you would give to your younger self?
Just be you.
That's a good one. Right. The last one is, so you're on your deathbed and you get to choose one meal before you die. What meal would that be?
Oh.
That's a new one. You're the first person to get this question asked.
What would it?
So you're on your deathbed. You have one meal to pick before you die. It can be anything.
One thing I've really missed since going gluten and dairy free is it's a fırın makarna. So it's basically it's like a Turkish lasagna.
Fırın makarna. Say that again. How do
Fırın
you say that?
makarna.
Fırın makarna.
Yeah, basically macaroni in the oven. Oven is fırın. So basically it's like long tubed pasta with mincemeat cooked in like onions and parsley, and then you make like a bechamel sauce with cheese, and then you pour it on the top. Oh, literally.
What cuisine is that? What country is that from?
Cypriot. It's a Cypriot dish.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, cool. Okay. So, top three tips you would give for people who want to start a wellness journey?
Trust your gut. I think we often forget to listen to that inner that intuition, like deep down you can feel it, like just trust it. So
Yeah.
if you've gone to the doctors because you've got something wrong with you, and they say, oh no, it's this, but you go away and you still feel like there's this nagging feeling, listen to it, go for it. Don't, just be, take charge and listen to your gut. It's there for a reason. We just forget to listen to that. Do your research. That's the other thing. Do your research. So don't assume, if you're on a wellness journey, whether that's because you're interested in learning more or because you are unwell, looking, we've got so much information out there. It can be overwhelming sometimes, but do your proper research, follow the line, who's paid for that research, where's it come from, cross-reference those searches. Don't leave any stone unturned. I think that's the thing, make it your obsession, not this, not like that, but it is just do your own research and don't expect someone else to have all the answers for you, because if you go to a doctor, say, and I've got complete respect for doctors, but they haven't got the time to become the expert in everything, and so only you can become your own expert. So do your research. And I'd always say work with a practitioner. I think even for myself, learning nutrition, I think it's still beneficial to work with a practitioner, because you share knowledge, and sometimes when you're closely involved in your own situation, it's hard to take that bird's eye view.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say work with a practitioner as well.
Great. Great. What does health mean to you?
It means it's self-compassion, being mindful, looking after your house. You only get one house to live in, so treat it well. And joy. Health is about joy as well. I think sometimes we can get so bogged down with doing everything right that we actually do forget about the joy side, and that is health. Just nurturing yourself, and it's like giving yourself a hug every day is health.
Amazing, amazing. And where can everyone find you if they want to reach out to you?
So so I've got 2 pages, Fresh Nesh, and Cook Fresh.
What social media is that on? Is that for all
So
social
I'm on
media?
Instagram, or Facebook. Well, I'm mainly on Instagram. I don't do any other social media, actually.
Hard to keep up, isn't it, with all
I
the
can't.
other
I
ones?
did try and do TikTok, and then I was like, no, I'm not going down that road for lots of reasons. But and Threads, I don't really post. Instagram is where you'll find me.
At Freshness, right?
Fresh Nesh and Cook Fresh with Nesh, if you're more interested in the food.
That's great. That's great. Well, this has been really fun. Do you know what? It's always great to exchange conversations and talk about everyone's journey, especially when sometimes it feels like you're alone in this journey doing all this. You spoke about it when you said, oh, you felt like, oh, am I going mad? Or is this all like, and I've heard so many people like that. And I've been like that. And sometimes I do feel like that. But I guess the best thing about social media is that we can connect to people who are in that same kind of field.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really appreciate your time. And
I've really enjoyed
hope you
talking
have.
to you.
Thank you so much.
Hey guys, I hope you really enjoyed that episode as much as I did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave in the description the link how to get hold of Nesh, to her food blogging page, and also the DNA testing link. I've spoken to Nesh and she sent that over. So I'll leave that in there, and I'll see you on the next one.